The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Indianapolis Colts. This is who's in, who's out, and everything you need to know about this game and more. So, the Steelers, they head over to the Indianapolis Colts, and they'll be playing at Lucas Oil Stadium at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they head into this matchup with a 3-0 record at top of the AFC Conference. And the Indianapolis Colts, they head into this contest as a 1-2 record, and they're struggling a little bit to get their footing. But first, before we get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're on a roll right now. They're heading to this game with the number 1 ranked defense in the entire NFL, giving up less than 10 points for the second consecutive week and not giving up over 16 points yet this season. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have the number 1 defense. The Indianapolis Colts are a streaky team. They're a team that could get going when they get going, but also a team that's been struggling recently. Anyway, before I get more into that later, let me just talk about the injury front for both teams, because both teams are dealing with some injuries to some of their top players, and a lot of the guys are out as well. So let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Steelers injury report is a lengthy one. Looking at quarterback Russell Wilson, he's still dealing with his calf injury, and he was limited in practice all throughout the week, and he is questionable for this week's game. More than likely, he will be the third and emergency quarterback and will be inactive. Looking at running back Jaylen Warren, he's not been himself since he got injured early on in preseason with a hamstring injury, and he's out this week's game with a knee injury. So it's not exactly the hamstring injury that was bothering him now, but Mike Tomlin said he just does not look his same self, so he's out. Looking at Alex Highsmith, he got injured in the first half of last week's game against the LA Chargers. He did not play the second half, and he's out with a groin injury this week against the Colts. And he's expected to miss around 2 to 4 weeks, I believe. Looking at guard Isaac Seumalo, he's yet to play the season. He got a pectoral injury in practice, and he's doubtful for this week's game against the Colts. Looking at tight end McCole Pruitt, he's out this week with a knee injury after being out last week with a knee injury. So those are all the people of destinations for this week's game, and who's out and who's questionable and who's doubtful. Now just looking at who else is injured, who more than likely will play. Roman Wilson with ankle injury. He finally practiced in full this week, and he's expected to play. He was available last week, but he was just made inactive, so maybe he gets his first playing time in the NFL. Van Jefferson, who had an eye injury, who was out for most of the game last week after getting poked in the eye, he practiced in full, and he looks to be playing. Najee Harris, whose arm was in a sling this week, and he was dealing with an elbow injury, he got some rest. He was held out of practice, but he will be playing this week's game. Deshaun Elliott, quadriceps injury, practiced in full. He will be playing. Dante Jackson, who got vet days off, practiced in full on Friday, so he will be playing. Looking at TJ Watt, he also got some vet days off. He practiced in full on Friday. He will be playing. Same thing with Cameron Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Miles Killebrew, and Cordell Patterson. So those are the injury report for the Steelers. And who's in, who's out, who's questionable, who will be playing. Now looking at the Indianapolis Colts side of the football and their injury report, you look at their team, and cornerback Kenny Moore II is dealing with a hip injury, and he's out for this week's game. You look at defensive end Kwity Paye, and he's a quadriceps injury. He's out for this week's game. You look at center Ryan Kelly with a neck injury. He's listed as questionable. You look at cornerback Chris Lamons with a knee and ankle injury. He's questionable as well. Defensive end Taquan Lewis with a calf injury and a wrist injury is questionable. Braden Smith with a knee injury is also listed as questionable. So the Indianapolis Colts, they're missing 2 players for sure. Going to be out, 2 key parts of their defense on the defense line and the defensive backs. And also, if they miss their center, that's going to be a big loss as well. So that's the injury report for the Indianapolis Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both teams are dealing with some major injuries to some top players, and that will affect how they play this game in the long run. It's still so early on in the season, so you hate to see this long and lengthy injury report for either team, but it is the NFL and injuries happen and you can't complain about it. It's just a part of the game and you have to go out there and play either way. And that's what each team will have to do this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Lewis Oil Stadium in Indianapolis when the Steelers take on the Colts. Anyway, enough with the injury front. Let's talk about this game because this game is going to be really important for the Pittsburgh Steelers because their second half of their schedule is really hard. That's where all the games are stacked up, the elite competition with the Chiefs, their own division, and many other games. So this early on in the season, when the Steelers face the Falcons, the Broncos, the Chargers, those are some more easy games of their schedule. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, us fans knew, hey, this is a part of the schedule you need to win. And this is another game against the Colts that the Steelers stack up well against, I believe, in terms of shutting down a quarterback in Anthony Richardson, who really doesn't have experience in this league, and the way the Pittsburgh Steelers play defense can make some problems for him, and the way that they're used to a quarterback like this in Lamar Jackson. So you look at this game, and this is a really important game for the Steelers to go 4-0. This is still the early part of the schedule, and like I said, the second half is harder, so it's really important the Pittsburgh Steelers get as much wins now as possible, so later on in the season, they don't have to scratch and claw their way into the playoffs. Beat the easy teams, and then later on, be in a battle with the harder teams. So, looking at the Colts side of the football, the Colts need to win this game because if they don't win this game, then they fall to 1-3. So we all know they're going to be fighting their way to win this game so they can stay in the race in their division and not fall too far behind the rest of the teams. Their teams in their division aren't playing too well, so they're not going to fall too far behind. The Jags and also the Tennessee Titans, they're not really doing too well, so they can't fall too far behind, but they need to keep up. They need to outplay, and they need to just prove themselves to get back into a rhythm that they had in week 1. So the Colts or the Steelers will be a very good game. Looking at this game and looking at who will take over. Once again, like I said, the Steelers are facing basically a rookie quarterback because he missed basically his entire rookie season in Anthony Richardson. So in my eyes, he's basically still a rookie in terms of the actual playing time on the field, but he's obviously not. So the Steelers defense is what could take over this game. Looking at the Steelers defense, they have the best front in the NFL. Top 7 guys. You have Cameron Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton. You have Alex Highsmith injured, but now you have Nick Herbig. You obviously have TJ Watt. You have these linebackers who like to come up and blitz and play kind of shallow. You have Patrick Queen in them. So the Pittsburgh Steelers front is really amazing. You also have cornerback Joey Porter Jr., you have Minkah Fitzpatrick, you have Deshaun Elliott. You have all these guys against Anthony Richardson. And they don't really have too much weapons on their roster. So hopefully the Steelers defense is able to do what they've been doing, and we expect them to do what they've been doing. Holding teams under 10 points, holding teams under 16 points, just doing their thing as a number 1 ranked defense. And I don't see a reason why that will change this game against the Colts. Obviously, the offense has to continue doing their thing. Another step in the right direction last week against the Chargers. That was Justin Fields' best game, actually scoring some touchdowns. Obviously, that big splash play to Colin Austin. Hopefully, there's more splash plays in this offense that don't get taken back by penalties. But that's how the Steelers win this game. Solid offense, but amazing defense. And obviously, amazing special teams as well. So, looking at the Colts, they're going to want to run the football. Jonathan Taylor. Run the ball, Jonathan Taylor. Run the ball with Anthony Richardson. That's their game plan. They have a running quarterback. They have one of the best running backs in the league. So run the football. And when you have to throw it to Michael Pittman. So you do what you have to do to run the football and then play action off of that. And obviously just play solid defense. That's Colts' game plan, I would say. Anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers go into Indianapolis, and my game prediction is the Pittsburgh Steelers win this game. They win it, and they win it actually the same way they win it against the Chargers, by multiple scores, and they do their thing. They show out and show why they're the best team in the NFL right now, especially the best defense. Anyway, let me hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will win this game? Or do you believe the Colts will get the better of the Steelers and give them their first loss of the season? I have a community post out shortly on this page, so go to the community tab and vote on the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Indianapolis Colts to win this game on that tab as well, so you can see kind of the ranking and the voting polls. Also, you could comment down below on this video or the post the score that you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will have and who will impact the game the most. And also, make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything like that. I'll continue covering it and giving you game analysis, film after each game, and also just update videos as well. So like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.